Hello and welcome back to the Local Government People's Program. This is Adam Spagnolo and it's my pleasure to welcome you along once again. Usually I interview people. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be interviewed. But just before I throw across to Michael Worthington from 101 Business Radio and TV, just want to tell you that we've been overwhelmed with the response that we've been getting. Telephone calls, SMSs, emails, it just goes on, and we've gotten back to most people. If you just happen to be one of those people that we've not gotten back to, please bear with us, please be patient, we will get back to everybody. Now, I'd like to welcome to the program Mr. Michael Worthington, who of course is with 101 Business Radio and TV. And Michael, first of all, welcome.
Thank you, Adam. It's actually going to be a bit of fun, I think. Looking forward to having a chat with you.
Thank you very much. Well, as you know, Michael, it's the time's upon us. The local government elections will be starting very, very shortly. In that, if you're in a council like the City of Stirling, where they're having postal voting, well, then the postal voting virtually will be starting immediately. When I say immediately, we're talking about the 29th, 30th of September, and by about the 2nd or 3rd of October, everybody in the City of Stirling will actually have received their postal voting papers. And we'll talk about how to vote and who can vote a little bit later on in the program. But what I'd like to do today, Michael, is give people an opportunity to understand who Adam Spagnolo is, what Adam Spagnolo can do for them, what Adam Spagnolo's experience is, and what a vote for Adam Spagnolo will mean.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of, and we gain it because your show's been up, there's been a lot of interest in this in the local government people's program. Well, and I think because people have recognised, Adam, that there is need for change. There's not just a want for change anymore. They actually realise there's a need for change. And I'm a business person, and obviously there's a lot of people out there, business and non-business, but they recognise one of the fundamentals to bring change about, you need somebody with experience. Absolutely. And I want to make the point that you have been a mayor, and you have been a councillor for the City of Stirling, yes?
Correct, yes. I was very lucky and very fortunate and certainly humbled to have been Mayor of the City of Stirling for 3 terms. And I spent 20 years as a councillor, from 1984 right through to 2004. I've been away from council for about 12 years, but you know what? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I have been following closely what the council of the City of Stirling has been doing, particularly in recent years. And I've got to say to you, Michael, that I'm very concerned about the culture, this bully boy culture that's actually developed at the City of Stirling, and the leadership. It needs to change.
And I think what people are looking at for change, and from my perspective, and this is what we encourage people to look at, change is needed, and they're going, you're just doing the same old, and that doesn't work anymore, and there's no reason for it. And one of the big things that I picked up from you, and this I guess is from your experience and your understanding and knowledge, is when we come to rate rises. Oh, we always put rates up, so we've always done it. And I think this shows a lack of leadership. It's we've always done it, so we always will do it. And you've come along and said, hold on, that's not the way it has to be.
Absolutely. Look, that's one thing that I'm very, very passionate and particular about, Michael, because you're right, the City of Stirling this year boasted about increasing everybody's rates only 1.75%.
Yes.
That's all well and good, but what they haven't told you is that the Valuer General valued all properties 3 years ago at a particular level, and as a result of the market prevailing conditions, those levels have actually dropped. Rental values have gone down, prices of properties have gone down, yet the City of Stirling is still applying the same formula to charge people rates. There was no need to increase the rates 1.75%.
No. And I think that's one of the things when you're looking at your rate freeze, and I want to talk about this because I think this is where people do know, intuitively know, this is when experience will count. Change comes, need experience. Now you're saying a rate freeze for 3 years. Now obviously I understand your experience and your knowledge. Is that too big a chunk, Adam? Is that too big a promise? Or is your experience and your knowledge and you know about the Attorney General's valuations and your
It's actually the Valuer General, not the Attorney General.
Oh well, there you go. That's why you're the councillor and I'm not.
Yeah, now look, as far as I'm concerned, as I've mentioned, property values have dropped in the last 4 or 5 years. Rental values have dropped in the last 4 or 5 years. However, we are still being rated on what the Valuer General has come up with 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, next year, fortunately, is actually what we call a revaluation year. What's going to happen as a result of that? It will be discovered that property values are indeed down. I want the council to freeze the rates at that value for the next 3 years. That'll give the property market and indeed the rental market an opportunity to adjust.
Right.
And I think if it adjusts, which it will, and it will take 2 to 3 years to do that. Now, somebody asked me the question, how can one individual councillor do this? Well, people need to know that no individual councillor can do anything. Everything is a council decision. I believe that I can put a motion forward to the council and have the motion adopted on the basis of what I've just pointed out in the last few moments.
The other thing I do like about what you do, Adam, and what you stand for, it's not just like rate freezes. You want to benefit the community, but you're looking to instigate growth. And one of these areas that I've looked at and you've looked at is being Main Street. Now, we've seen these growth opportunities that other councils have taken advantage of, and we've got a prime example in Main Street in Osborne Park. And I know you did a lot when you were mayor before, and you've looked and gone, why has it not happened?
Yes. Well, look, that's a project that's been going for 3 years. There is a committee called the Main Street Co-op Committee, and to their credit, they've worked very hard, very diligently in the last 3 years. And look, they've come up with a lot of great ideas. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any of those ideas coming to fruition.
Yes.
A lot of those ideas are great. They haven't actually necessarily been put on paper, and this is the thing that concerns me. You know, you cannot put the cart before the horse, and I believe that this particular committee is quite frustrated with the City of Stirling, because, as I say, the only thing you can actually see that is evidence of something happening down there are a couple of signs that the City of Stirling has put up saying, hey, Main Street's coming to life. Well, that's all well and good, but I can't see anything down there other than a couple of, those little hose things they put across the road to measure the number of vehicles or count the number of vehicles that go by.
Yeah.
I think the committee's received about $40,000, and look, they're not even sure what that $40,000 is for. One moment I hear it's to relocate a bus bay, the next minute I hear it's in relation to uprooting some trees and relocating those. But the bottom line is this, Michael. The bottom line is, in anything people do in life, you need a plan.
Yes.
They do not have a plan. They have a mural, which is an artist's impression. I don't see any plan where all of these ideas that this good committee has come up with, they haven't actually been put into some sort of implementation plan. And that concerns me because, as I say, you can't build anything unless you've got a plan to follow. My view is that what needs to happen is a consultant needs to be appointed so that a plan can be drawn based on the ideas that we have.
Yes.
Those ideas are then obviously put out to the public. This committee, of course, will have a say in this as well. And indeed, the general public and the shopkeepers can have a say on what's going on. Once they've had a look at this, if we're happy with it, we draw something, we put it out to advertising, and if there is a general consensus, we fund it and we build it.
What I like about it's the initiatives you take, Adam. And you look at and you've said, look, they've done it in Beaufort Street, they've done it in Leederville. Why can't we do it on Main Street, Osborne Park? It's another prime example. It's about bringing life and community back into the area.
That is correct. And I'm looking forward to doing this. In fact, one of my priorities is actually the upgrade of Main Street from Cape Street all the way down to El Dorado Street. Wow. The last upgrade, Michael, was about 18 years ago. Yes. I had the pleasure of being involved in that, and of course, 18 years ago it was state of the art. Of course, when you look at it now and you measure it against places like, as you say, Leederville, Beaufort Street, Fitzgerald Street, Angove Street, Scarborough Beach Road and Mount Hawthorn, when you actually compare it to those particular locations, I think you say to yourself, well, things have changed. We need to jazz up a little bit. Yes. And so that's basically where I'm coming from.
And another one, and I do want to, because you're very progressive, and it's probably because you're a businessman as well, which I think it really does help. You run your own business, the building inspector. But Stevenson Avenue, now that was something you really pushed for. You got it happening. And, I can't speak because I'm not on council, but to an outsider looking, it seems to have stalled.
Yes, look, I had the pleasure of actually opening the first leg of the Stevenson Avenue, which is from John Sanders Drive up to Scarborough Beach Road.
It's a great little section.
Yes.
I use it every morning.
Yes.
So
When I was the Mayor of the City of Stirling, I actually opened that particular link along with a gentleman by the name of Ken Michael. Ken was the Commissioner for Main Roads at the time, and later, of course, became known to be the Governor of Western Australia.
Yep.
But yes, we opened that road, as I say, in the early 90s. It was about 93, something like that. Anyway, it was actually mooted at the time that within 5 years, what was going to happen was the next leg, that is from Scarborough Beach Road, going through where the hire guys are, behind IKEA, going right through up to Cedric Street, connecting to the freeway. That leg was going to go through 5 years later.
Yeah.
Of course, 20 years later, this still hasn't happened. The interesting thing about this, Michael, is that what's happened in the course of that time is both state and federal governments have actually placed monies on the budget saying, right, next year we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They've put the money on the budget, other priorities have come on, and of course, this never eventuated. The good news is that I understand that the federal government has actually committed to $65 million
Wow.
to actually fund the construction of this road. The other thing too is, in my discussions with Treasury, I understand that $65 million has also been allocated by the state government
Wow.
for this particular project. So all in all, it's a $130 million project. Now, I'm excited, but I'm also a little apprehensive because, Michael, unless you have got a local voice at that City of Stirling batting for the local people to ensure that this road goes through, the same thing's going to happen. Some other priority will come up and there won't be anybody there shouting loud enough, and on that basis it'll be rescheduled for another time.